Hey guys, this is the last video that you'll be watching for our weather and climate unit, which we've been looking at for the last few weeks. This particular video is going to go over 4 things, starting off with a brief overview of weather. Then we'll be looking at climate, El Niño, and oceanic catastrophic events like tropical storms and hurricanes. First up is weather, which we were introduced to in our last video and we looked at with the activities last week. You should have taken away from that when air masses collide, it creates fronts, and those fronts are what give us the weather that we experience. Things to keep in mind are that weather is current, so day to day, sometimes hour to hour, for a general area or region. When we say weather, we're including things like precipitation, temperature, air pressure, the different types of fronts, cloud coverage, wind, and storm systems, among other things. And meteorologists predict our weather using models and looking at the interacting fronts, etc. Definitely need to remember that weather is short term. It's the daily happenings and conditions of our atmosphere day to day. Now, if we were to look at the weather over a longer period of time, say over the course of a year or multiple years, then we'd be talking about what we call climate, which by definition is the average long-term weather for an area or region. Some factors that affect climate include latitude, which is how far north or south from the equator a location is. Remember that the closer to the equator something is, the more direct sunlight it's going to receive. Altitude, which is how far up into the atmosphere a location is. Distance to large bodies of water, so is a location closer to the ocean or a large lake, or is there no water around? Global winds, which we looked at when we studied the Coriolis effect, and ocean currents. Something to keep in mind with climate is that the interactions happening among specific heat, global winds, and ocean currents all influence climate. Something else that can influence climate is an occurrence that we call El Niño. This is an event that causes a shift in normal weather patterns all over the world. What happens is that warm surface water, which is usually around Australia, gets shifted east and disrupts the cold water current that usually runs along the western coast of South America. When this happens, it brings unusual and severe conditions to different areas, including but not limited to more rain, higher temperatures, tropical fish found further north along the west coast of the United States, warmer than normal winters in the eastern United States, severe droughts, flooding, etc. For us in Texas, El Niño brings cool, moist weather, and this is a continuing cycle that happens every 2 to 7 years. If you want to pause the video, you can sketch the 2 pictures in the bottom corner. One showing a normal year where the jet stream is kind of going along straight across, and an El Niño year where the jet stream starts to go along but then gets pushed further north. The last thing we're going to look at is the role that the ocean plays in weather systems like tropical storms and hurricanes. It all starts with warm ocean water, which results in warm air over the ocean water. The ocean water gets heated more during certain times of the year based on how far it is along the revolution around the sun and the tilt of the earth. And what happens is that low pressure systems sweep out over the warm ocean water in the tropics, and that warm water fuels the system, creating a tropical storm. Now, as this tropical storm gets moved across the warm water, it gains more energy and moisture, and therefore it gets stronger, and then it is considered a hurricane. Now, hurricanes continue to move along the water, and they gain even more strength, and they get categorized on a scale of 1 to 5 based on how strong they are, 5 being the most severe. As they move on to land, however, the systems lose energy that the ocean provides, and they get weaker. The Atlantic hurricane season is from June 1st to November 30th, which, if you think about it, is the summer months for the northern hemisphere when we're getting the most direct sunlight from the sun. And the most severe storms form during the late summer when the water is warmest. Definitely need to remember that what drives hurricanes is warm ocean water, and that the more water they collect, the stronger they're going to be. Once that water is gone and they're on land, they can only go as far as the strength they have can carry them, and then it's done. This picture shows exactly what it takes to form a hurricane. Copy it down in your journal.